fellow female activists. Cathy Perez here. Cathy Perez, your wellness coach. And we are here. It is our wellness playlist. We are talking about mental fitness. And today we're talking about shock and awe is saboteur energy. All right. If you're new here, like and subscribe. And we always start these wellness playlist videos with what we call positive quotient repetitions, PQ reps. So if you are so inclined and if you feel safe, you can go ahead and whether you're sitting, laying down, you can be standing up. And this time we're actually going to have our eyes open. And I do want you to, again, wherever you're at, even if you're lying down, I want you to think about a tall spine. I really want you to be able to just feel like you have elongated, okay? And assuming that you can, again, if you're driving, don't try this, just listen at a later date. But what we're going to do is if you're available to do so, if you have the ability, look at something in front of you, okay? And with intention, focus on what you're looking at. Look at the texture. Is it smooth, what you're looking at? What are the colors that you're seeing, if any? How is the light playing on it? Whatever you're looking at. Now go ahead and look at something else. And with a soft gaze, so nothing as intense as you were just now, but look at something in front of you and just with it out of focus, so to speak, and put one of your hands on your belly. And just notice what moves with your breath. If you do want to close your eyes, go. Now, even if you're standing, I want you to focus on your seat, your buttocks area. If you're sitting or laying down, what surface is it on top of? What does it feel like? Is there any warmth underneath the seat? Do you feel the pressure of gravity? Even if you're standing, your seat takes on some type of action to keep you upright. And now, if your eyes are closed, go ahead and blink them open. And that was your first try at positive quotient repetitions or PQ reps. You should hopefully feel a little bit more centered, okay? Or at least if you were coming into this a little ruffled, hopefully you feel a little bit more at ease, even calm. And that's the point. All right, so we are talking about wellness and mental fitness, and specifically about the shock and awe effect, and that is saboteur energy. So we all know that the US has become a fascist regime, and that is very sad. And so if you were not familiar with what is happening, well, now you do. And so fascism definitely is ingrained and in bed with white supremacy. And white supremacy definitely has nothing but saboteur energy. I mean, definitely that you can't think more of what is so saboteur, what is so vile, that it takes your energy away on purpose. So shock and awe, which is basically what fascism is all about, um, is definitely about shock and awe. And as hard as it is to always feel that shock and awe, if we don't feel that shock and awe, that means that we're losing our own humanity. And this is a hard one. What I'm not trying to say is that, oh, you should feel horrible, horrible, and then not want to do anything. No, on the contrary. What I'm getting at is some new activists, okay, to the world of fighting fascism might not realize that shock and awe, that is in fact a playbook. That is like fascism 101. Why? Because white supremacy is based on the hustle culture. It invented hustle culture. White supremacy basically is based on white, right? Males, specifically Europeans, right? And so we have to understand that regardless of where you fall on the gender spectrum, white supremacy is based again on the fact that males are in charge, okay? Preferably those of a certain pigment, right? And then there's a class structure, all right? And a race structure, so to speak. But I mean, this whole idea of white supremacy actually has been rooted since the beginning of time, i.e., especially in the Roman Empire, okay? I would say that other cultures, well, white supremacy isn't a culture, but what I'm getting at is like, if you look back into the earliest types of civilizations, a lot of them, okay, were actually equalitarians. I think that's how you say it. And or actually, they were based in more maternal, i.e., it was more geared towards women, okay, or females being of higher stature, not higher stature, but at least they had, more rights, let's say. They definitely had a more equal dispersion of leadership. There you go. And then as civilizations stayed put, i.e., they weren't nomads so much anymore, it is when land possession starts to happen that then the mentality has changed, or it does change, and then white supremacy literally takes over. And so we really want to understand at least that while you would think that, oh yeah, unfortunately, patriarchy has always been, no, that's not true. Equalitarian, I think that's equalitarian societies as well as matriarchal, thank you. I don't know if I said that right previously, but matriarchal civilizations did in fact exist before patriarchy decided, no, we want those with penises to have all the power. And so they changed literally what was more of an equilibrium in the world of human species, okay? So no, it's not natural to only have patriarchy be the leader or only males to have all the power. That's not natural. And so when you put that into perspective, the idea that the shock and awe is in fact the point of white supremacy, that's what we want to understand. We don't want saboteur energy. Now, keep in mind, ultimately, if you do decide to ever work with me, you will find that saboteurs are just part of our psyche, okay? And there was a reason for them. But now as we get older, i.e., as we mature and our brains actually turn on the filters that we didn't have as little people, as little children, right? Those saboteurs are not needed in adulthood. And yet they drive 97% of our subconscious. And so our default as humans is negative thoughts. That's just how we're wired. Again, as we were coming out of the caves, right? We had to always be on alert to stay away from harm. And so our default is it takes 3 positive encounters to block out one, or to overcome one bad experience. Okay. So we default to negativity, and that's just how we are. And when you work on your sage powers, and there's only 5 sage powers are necessary to overtake 10 saboteur energies, okay? Or traits, I should say. So are saboteurs bad? They aren't. They are just there, and they're not necessarily useful after a certain point to our heads. But white supremacy has usurped those saboteurs in such a way that you assume now that the hustle mentality is the only way to be and the only way to get through life. No. As a matter of fact, those 5 sage powers are so much more effective and can get us from the hustle mindset over into the more ease and flow. In general, right? Females are more connected to Mother Earth. Like that's just a given. We are. If you were not aware, and I know my audience is more in the perimenopause and menopause phase of life, but even so, if you never knew this, hello, your menstrual cycle is attached, or again, it's connected to the lunar cycle. That's not by accident, okay? That's Mother Nature saying we are badass. And so we want to understand on the mental level that we are completely entwined with nature. And that's a blessing, okay? And so for us to be forced to live in a patriarchal and let's just face it, misogyny, right? But a white supremacy type cultivated society, we get to turn the tables on that. The shock and awe is meant to make us, to freeze us, right? To be the deer in the headlights, all right? And when we're able to turn into sage, all right, to turn saboteurs into sage energy, that's when we win, okay? And that's when we can go into our ease and flow in any situation, okay? We become more creative. We become majorly focused and so singularly like clear-headed that anything we want will happen. And that's going to be so important in these coming months. You know, there's a lot of time, unfortunately, before the midterms in 2026, and we get to do everything we can to ensure that those elections are fair and free elections as well, but also that as many people as possible participate. And so it's going to take us staying in sage, not the hustle mentality. The shock and awe is going to be there. And when we can look at the shock and awe and then flip into sage, that's when we win. Okay. And so that's what we want to spread. We want to spread the sage energy, get away from the white supremacy of rush, 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 fast, fast, fast. We want to level the playing field and say, you can try to shock and awe me, and instead I'm going to choose, okay, the better way. Now, there's a difference between, oh my goodness, we're now in a rapid response because all hell has broken loose, right, on whatever given day, in any given city. And that's what rapid response requires. We need to get out there. And in the moments where we have more time, right, to prepare, we have time to consider options. That's when we want to go into our sage energy. And the faster you can go from saboteur energy into sage, the better off we're going to all be. Okay. So again, our mental fitness muscle, okay, there's 3 muscles. The saboteur even being acknowledged, like you realize, oh my gosh, I'm in saboteur energy. And then you drop into your sage. You choose to go into sage, and then you take self-command and say, yep, let's go. I'm ready to be clear-headed and focused, and we're going to make this happen, whatever that situation is. When we can even notice that we're in saboteur energy, and then we just stop, and then you can even say, I will now take self-command and then turn into sage, if you want to look at it that way. Understand, even if you just notice that you're in saboteur energy, you have then realized, oh my gosh, I am in that reactionary period that they want. They got me into this, and now I need to drop into sage. And when you do so, when you're able to collectively understand what saboteur energy feels like versus sage energy, you're going to want the sage energy a heck of a lot more, and you're going to be able to recognize when that saboteur energy is building up. And it's just really a positive situation when you can recognize the saboteur energy, not just in you, but in others, because it's reciprocal. So the sooner I realize that I am in saboteur energy, I can stop. I can decide I'm taking self-command, drop into my own sage energy, and guess what happens? My sage energy can then fly towards the other person. Now, will that always work and will you have a wonderful outcome? Honestly, that's not to say that it can't happen, but more than likely, depending on what's going on, it's not always going to happen. But you know yourself that you were able to come out of the saboteur energy. And when you're able to come out of the saboteur energy, there's a good chance that maybe, just maybe, you can send out the ripple effect of sage energy and it can reach the other person. So again, mental fitness, you want to really grow those three muscles. Noticing that you're in saboteur mode. Let's say, because you can go either way, you can get into sage and then go into self, self-command, or understand that, oh, I'm going to take self-command. I'm going to stop. And then you go into sage energy, right? Once you've figured out that you've even gone into saboteur energy. So those three core muscles are so important, and I can help you really hone them. But more importantly, just realize that the whole shock and awe is the point, because they want to leave us, they want to render us useless with inaction. But if we stay in sage, if we're able to, again, we're not always going to be able to stop the saboteur energy, but if we can at least even acknowledge, oh yeah, I'm in saboteur mode, this is not good, you can step away and get yourself probably out of a really not fun situation, because you noticed yourself, I am not responding the way I want. I get to step away. That way you can come back maybe and reevaluate how that situation could have gone had you gotten into sage energy, right? But one, we want to always stay safe. And two, it's just about realizing how we can put ourselves in better headspace so that we can basically, run this marathon, which is stopping fascism. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be fun, just to be honest, right? But we get to do so with our heads on right and connected, not only to our bodies, but to all of nature around us, because it makes a difference. Okay, so with that, I know that we can be sage together. So if you have any questions, drop those in the comments, and or you can directly connect with me. Until next time, take care, take charge, God bless.